So welcome everybody. Welcome to our general meeting for NAMI Solano. As you heard, we are recording tonight's event because we have a guest speaker. We also have folks that may be on and off our virtual, classroom. Deb DeMello, our executive director, is not here tonight. She's managing our virtual presence. So if you came to see Deb, she's on and she can hear you, but you might have to just come over and talk to the camera when we're done, and you may be able to get her attention. But welcome to our October meeting. I'm John McKenzie. I'm the president for NAMI Solano, and we have other board members here tonight. I just asked them to stand up. Lori's here. Lori is our treasurer. And then Patty is our secretary. So if you have any board type questions that you need, now you know what they do, and you can grab us. We'll stick around a little bit afterwards and answer any of the questions that you may have. So we try to have different guest speakers. We try to hit some different topics, and we're not going to talk a whole lot tonight because we want you to be able to hear from one of our local folks that has a lot to say on some of our topics. But again, we're going to quickly, before we start, we're going to go around the room, and if you're comfortable introducing yourself and sharing 30 seconds, why you're here, what brought you to NAMI tonight, then that helps us to understand how we can potentially offer services to you when Roy's done talking. Or if there's anything burning that we have that we think might be beneficial, then we can make sure you get that information. So Ethan, do you mind starting? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone, my name's Ethan. I'm a EPA student right now, working as an ER tech, but I'm really interested in the mental health field, so wanting to learn more and contribute and volunteer. That's like, man.
Volunteer!
Okay.
I'm Ethan's dad. I'm here supporting him as a physician locally here.
Wonderful. What's your specialty? Do you have my
Gastro.
Nice. So we can get into all the serotonin and the brain gut biome, and we can talk about all that stuff and how it helps with mental health. Awesome.
I'm Shauna Stockton, and I'm here tonight to support my husband.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm Tyler Stockton. I'm here to support my dad.
Very cool. Lori?
I'm Lori Martin. I found out about NAMI several years ago when my daughter was diagnosed with bipolar. And they've been a tremendous help. So she's doing very well now, and I'm helping others as much as I can.
Nice. John?
I'm John Phillips, and Patty is my wife, and we got learned about NAMI and took the family class a long time ago, 15 years ago. Yeah, and we couldn't believe how that just changed our whole outlook on our son. Our son has schizoaffective disorder, which is a major mental illness, and he's doing quite well most of the time.
Yeah. Do you want to?
Oh, my name is Gina, and I joined NAMI. I don't know how I learned about it. And I've been in Patty's family to family class, as well as a peer to peer class. And I have a sister that has schizophrenia.
Yeah. I'm Ken Stockton, Roy's dad, and I'm here to support the whole family and all of you. And I'm sure I'll learn something.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm Karen Stockton. Besides being here to support Roy, and I didn't know anything about NAMI before, so I'm just glad that he was invited. And I think we all have a lot to learn. There's a lot going on right now with the chaos in our world. I've lost a few friends to suicide. So, and I'm in contact with a lot of people, and just think the more we know, the more we can do something that helps somebody.
Yes. Great perspective.
Hi, my name is Lauren Kaufman. I know Roy as a friend and also as a colleague in Solano County. I'm a dispatcher for Vacaville, have been for 23 years. I also sit on the board with Roy Solano Family First Responders, and we're providing mental health services for first responders. All right.
Awesome.
I'm Sheree Milberg. I am an LNFT and I'm here tonight as a Lori.
Hey, great. Brought his own audience.
Gotta make sure you got friends.
It's easier to talk to your friends than it is.
I'm Nancy Taylor. I have two son-in-law that I got injured as a cop in 4 years ago. We fell down 7 foot embankment
Mm.
as a head injury. And I have another son-in-law that actually has a piece of shrapnel from the Marines. So mental health for me is very important, but I've learned more and more about it for their sake.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's start in the back.
NAMI has been a part of my life for many years and made a big difference for me and people I love.
Awesome. Dennis?
Dennis, my son has schizoaffective disorder and what are we, he's in a state hospital and we've been doing it for 10 or 12 years. And I'm just trying to figure it out.
Cool. Ma'am?
Hi, Jen Carlson. I go to Valley Church and I saw that this meeting was happening. I have been to a few NAMI meetings in sport, so I'm also doing volunteer. I do have friends who have lost to suicide. My kid's dad has bipolar. He's a Marine Corps veteran, and that's been a struggle. And I also had postpartum depression and anxiety that thankfully I did get help for. And there's a really good chaplain here, Jim Wilson, who I saw, and I feel like that was just a game changer. So like I am just a testament to like it can't, treatment is there, it's good and it helps. And I also just really appreciate how like the Bible and mental health therapies like are, you know, if you line them up, they're both very effective. And so just like giving your burden to God and then getting outside and getting fresh air and diet and talking to people or so. So yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. Guys want to share?
Oh, you
You're
can.
welcome.
I'm Sue Costin, I'm gonna let John say the rest.
Yeah, I'm John Constant, my wife Sue. I also have a sister with schizophrenia. So NAMI has been a part of our family's life for my parents about 50 years ago when my sister was diagnosed at about the age of 21. So it's been a journey. It was a journey for them, and they passed on. And it's interesting how God works things together. But it's just in recent events with my sister's physical health has required real prayer and support, and so it's wonderful to be allowing NAMI to be part of our lives.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Sure.
Stephen, that's my son was diagnosed with chronic depression a year ago.
Mm.
NAMI member.
Great, thank you.
I have a sister. I have a big sister with schizophrenia. She lost her to suicide last year. I wish we had known about NAMI sooner and been able to, utilize the thing that my class, which I just completed, and
Literally yesterday.
for classes sooner, but here now.
Yeah.
And I'm also affected with depressive disorder. So
Yeah.
I'm worried about them.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Jason, here in a program with NAMI Solano. I'm also a volunteer with Vacaville, Jerry, support specialist. I struggle with depression. I've lost at least 4 people to suicide. Once. So then NAMI basically changed my life. Started volunteering in November last year, and thought I had this would be a career path, and I always thought it was like estimates.
Yeah.
Speaking of suicide loss, I'm wired and I'm interested.
Sure.
The International Survivors of Suicide Loss Day is on November 22nd at Aldea. You can register using the flyer if you're interested, and the fund is open to the public for the most part.
You want to put it on our table, or do you want to hold on to it for now so people can come talk to you? What do you want to do?
Hold on.
Okay, so if you want more information about the Suicide Awareness Day, talk to Jason. And are you gonna be there? Are you gonna be there on behalf of Jason, or are you gonna be there on behalf of NAMI? We figured that out?
I'll ask you what it involves you on behalf of Mount Evelyn and everyone else.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for sharing. This is part of why we're here. We're here to understand what we can do for you. And also part of your sharing is also quite therapeutic. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes people don't share in the beginning, and then over time they become more comfortable. They learn, they hear other people's stories, and they realize that everybody's here because we all have something to share. We all have something to contribute to each other. And nobody's perfect. We all know this, but there's a lot that we can do for each other. So, with that said, I think we will get started into our main guest speaker for tonight. So you may know him as Roy, you may know him as Councilman Stockton, you may know him as Officer or Deputy Stockton. You know, many of us that do lots of cool stuff in our lives wear lots of different hats, but we're all the same core person. We take that core person into all of the different things that we do. So without further ado, I want to invite Roy to come up and talk to everybody and just kind of give us your perspective. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Remember to silence my phone so it doesn't go off and mess me up. Thank you for having me. Thank you it was a perfect introduction because, you know, what a lot of you just did right now took me 8 years to be able to even talk about, to be able to discuss, to be able to think about, or admit I had some issues related to stuff that I had dealt with my job. So whether you're here because you need help or whether you're here because you're supporting somebody, thank you for being here. And it takes a tremendous amount of bravery to step up to do that, to be that person for someone else, someone that you love, or someone that you don't even know, but you just want to help. Or whether you recognize that you yourself need some help. Ultimately, that's what led me to be here today. Thank you for the introduction. I do wear a lot of different hats. I am a proud son, father, husband, in addition to being a council member, a sergeant with the Solano County Sheriff's Office, and a council member here in Vacaville. And I will tell you, I am happy to answer questions related to that can help, you know, here, wearing any of those hats or a combination of them, because the overlying theme of all of the stuff that I do is, you know, like I didn't get into any of this because I wanted to make money. Like I didn't get into any of this because I wanted power. I got into a lot of this because I wanted to make a difference. And in the 20 years that I've been involved in law enforcement, 5 years I've been on council, I've met a lot of really incredible people. The vast majority of them, they just wanted to make their community better, or they wanted to make a difference, a positive impact. So my journey as it relates to the topics of conversation today with mental illness, PTSD, the stigma surrounding asking for help really started when right after I became a father. So I became a police officer with the city of Fairfield in 2006. I grew up in Vacaville, been here my whole, you know, pretty much since I was like 5 years old. So just right next door, right? So I went to the academy and they pump you up. They teach you all kinds of laws and all kinds of protocol. And they really pound in that like hyper awareness, you know, where, you know, like you notice someone over there and I catch myself and I'm standing by the door. Yeah, like, you know, it's pretty easy to find a cop because they're always facing the doors. They always want to see what's going on. And so some of those things they prepare you for, but what they don't prepare you for is the cumulative trauma that you see on a day-to-day basis. And for me, I kind of eased into some of that. Like I've seen and dealt with a lot of suicide on the job. I've seen, horrific accidents, things like that. And cumulatively, it's weird. I don't really think about that. I'm just being really open and vulnerable with everybody here. So this is only the second time I've ever spoke in front of a crowd, so give me a little grace. But what I will say is that as I would patrol through town, I would drive by places and I would recognize that, like, oh yeah, I went to a crazy call for service. But then I would forget about it, right? And then you just kind of keep cruising and you get used to it, right? You have crazy stories to tell at Thanksgiving and you minimize things because it's your job and you want to help people, and you're the one that's supposed to be helping people. You're not the one that's supposed to need help. But everything changed for me when I became a father, right? And I know, like, many of us have kids, but when you have kids, there is this switch that flips in your head, and you ultimately recognize that you are no longer the most important thing in the world, right? And that your kid and your children are. And so my son, who's here, he was born in March of 2007. And my first Father's Day with him, he was just a sack of potatoes. He's just a little guy, couldn't talk or anything. But the following year, I was really looking forward to Father's Day. And I was working day shift with the Fairfield Police Department. And, we're having a barbecue at the house. And everybody's excited. I get phone calls and messages. I'm talking to my son. He can finally talk. And he's like, when are you coming home, Dad? Or Dad, he's got him on the phone. And just like that, my phone was ringing.
Nice.
Yeah, that was great. And so I over in Fairfield is the Lady of Mount Carmel Church. We called it the Golf Ball Church because it has this beautiful golden dome. And I was parked in the back of the parking lot there because it was kind of removed from people walking by. And my wife Shauna, who's here, is texting me like, everybody's coming over. When are you going to get off? Get your paperwork done, get everything done. And I'm just really excited, So I'm writing up my paperwork. I've got everything pretty much done. And I'm about maybe an hour to half an hour from getting off of work when I hear tones on the radio. So the tones go off, and forgive me if I get a little emotional, but the tones go off and it's a drowning. And I am literally right around the corner. When I tell you that lights and sirens and gas pedal on the floor, I got there, and I want to say 30 seconds or less. I was there, right? And I paid attention in my first aid class, but it didn't prepare me for what I experienced. So when I got there to this call, right around the corner from where I was at, as soon as I arrived, the dispatcher told me that it was a 3-officer minimum house that had issues with the police department and police response before. But it was too late for that. I was by myself. And as soon as I got up the driveway on the side of the house, they had just pulled an 18-month-old little girl out of the pool. And they handed me the little girl. And they had been having their own Father's Day events, right? And so there was probably about the same amount of people in this room. I'm what, 20, 30 people in here, that were extremely distraught, crying, don't let my baby die. And I'm doing CPR, and I am doing everything that I can. And I'm holding this 18-month-old little girl, and I'm checking for an open airway, and I'm doing chest compressions. I'm doing back blows, and I'm trying to get the water out, right? And I do this for probably a good 2 or 3 minutes, but it felt like 2 or 3 hours. And when you've got grandma and mom and people screaming, it was intense, right? So the fire department gets there, and I'd never been so happy to see a firefighter in my life, right? But they got all the cool gizmos and equipment and everything, and they put a tube in. And I can still, even to this day, when I talk about this, I can see the water shoot out of the machine and the sunlight hitting that water. Like, and so they do that and they hooked her up to a machine and they said, we have a pulse. And I went, man, we got a pulse. Okay, we're good. You know, like we're going to take her to the hospital. So then I'm on my way to the hospital. And now is when I start to get angry. Okay. I'm grateful that they got a pulse on her, but I'm angry because who was watching this little kid? This is an 18-month-old. Who's watching this little girl? And for whatever reason, it really stuck in my head that this was a home that had you know, like problems with the police. And so I became very judgmental and very angry at the people that they were too busy drinking or barbecuing or distracted or doing whatever they were doing, that they weren't watching this little kid who had just been pulled out. And so we get to the hospital and my phone is like, my wife is, I love her. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her and my son and my parents. I mean, I have a great support system and not everybody has that. So I'm grateful for them. But she's like, where are you at? Everybody's here. Like, are you going to get off on time? Like, and she's excited. She's a brand new mom. We got a house, you know, everybody's coming to our house. That's like a big deal for a new couple that just had a kid, you know? So I'm like ignoring the phone, right? And then I hear yelling and screaming coming out of her her room, in the room that she was in inside of the emergency room. And then I hear the father start yelling and screaming, where's that officer? Where's that officer? Where the fuck is that officer? And he comes out and I think we're gonna fight. Right? Academy, the whole thing, I'm bladed, like, you know, like I'm ready, but I'm just like, here we go. We're gonna have this altercation in the middle of the thing. And he walks up to me and he locks eyes and he goes, you're that officer that did CPR on my daughter? And I said, yes, sir. Yeah. And he hugged me. And he says, thank you for giving me the opportunity to say goodbye to my little girl. And I melted. Because I felt shame for judging this man. Because in that moment, he wasn't an anti-police anybody. He was a father that just lost his little girl. And so here I am, brand new, you know, I had 2 years on the job, less than 2 years on the job, and I'm in the ER, embraced with this man crying on the ground. And I am feeling a level of shame that I have never felt in my life because I had judged this man. Meanwhile, my persistent wife has no idea what's going on. And so my phone continues to go off, right? And I'm trying to get myself back together. He goes back in to be with his daughter, and we find out she's brain dead. So I make it back to the station, and it's a very macho field, right? Nobody wants to show weakness, especially a newer guy. And so I managed to get into the locker room, get changed, grab my bag of all my clothes and all my stuff. And then I'm like, took a minute to collect myself. I drive home. I took another minute to collect myself when I got into my driveway. I finally mustered up the courage to get out of my car, to go inside of the house where I have a family full of people barbecuing for Father's Day. And my wife hears me opening the door. She opens the door holding my 18-month-old son. So again, I melt in front of my whole family this time. I am out of control. I am in no control of my emotions. And now I'm feeling shame and guilt because I got to go home to my son. So after my wife like hands him off to somebody, I think it's probably you, Mom, or Lynn, but anyway, she hands off the kid. She takes me to the room and she's like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And I cannot even tell her or talk about what happened. Just leave me alone. I don't want to talk about it. I'm embarrassed. It took me 8 years to tell her what happened that day. So when I say you're all brave for being here and being able to talk about that, it took me 8 years. And it wasn't until I left Fairfield PD and I went to the Solano County Sheriff's Office. So I have 10 years at Fairfield PD, and this December, or the end of this year, will be my 10th year here for a total of 20 years. So I'm very excited about that. But I ran into one of our peer support people, a guy by the name of John Mazer, and he took me to lunch. And I told him the story. I don't know why I told him. We were just talking about stuff, but it came up. And he goes, he had a reaction very similar to a lot of you that are hearing this for the first time. And he said, well, have you ever talked to anybody? And I hadn't even talked to my wife. Like, I didn't talk to anybody. I haven't even talked to God about it. Like, I didn't even want to think about it, right? So he goes, man, you really should go. I was like, well, this happened at Fairfield. And he said to me, he goes, well, you're part of our family now. Would you go? I'll pay for it. And when he offered that, and I knew I didn't have to pay for it, I knew I didn't have to tell her everything, you know, about what was going on. I said, okay, but if I don't like it, I'm going to leave. So he sent me to a lady that I went to, and it was good because it allowed me to talk to somebody that was safe, somebody that could help me understand my emotions and what I was going through. But it was really surface based. It was really just kind of like it was like the first step, right? Like it takes time to feel better. You don't just feel better right away, but it was a great first step for me, and it allowed me to finally tell my wife, you know, that I had had a drowning and a little girl that passed away. I didn't talk about my shame. I didn't talk about any of the, you know, anger or other things like that I had and that I experienced, but it allowed me to finally tell her what had happened and why I was so upset that day. So that was like the first step, right? It felt good for a while, but then you start to realize it never goes away, not completely. And as the years went by, after that, I would find myself, as I did before speaking to this mental health clinician, as Father's Day would come around every year, I would really suffer some major depression. I would really become reclusive. I just wanted to be left alone. I was pretty miserable to be around. I love you, babe, for sticking it out with me, but I just didn't want to talk to anybody. And you know, my birthday is sometimes falls on Father's Day, and so it was a really tough time each year as that date would approach. It would bring forward these feelings and things that just brought back the shame and the anger and some of those things. So some years had passed, and my wife said, you know, you should probably go back and talk to somebody. And so Cherie, would you stand up over here? Cherie Malberg is an absolute angel. Cherie owns Restoration Family Counseling in Vacaville. She provides what I call culturally competent mental health care for first responders, veterans, families. And I was finally able to get some help from her. And I'm skipping around a little bit, so I apologize, but thank you for doing that. My story that I just told you is only one of like I would say hundreds, if not thousands of calls of trauma that I've experienced in 20 years. The ones with the kids are the ones that really hurt me the most. But I found out relatively quickly that I wasn't alone. So I had some good friends at the Solano County Sheriff's Office that had also, one of them was in a shooting, another one had dealt with, in a custodial setting, had dealt with hangings, with an inmate that had hung himself. And we talked about it, and the one thing that we realized is that there's this stigma that we need to get over. We need to get people where they need to be to get the help that they need to live a quality life, right? And so that's why organizations like this are really important. For me as a first responder in this group of people, we recognize that every city offers an employee assistance program, EAP. But the people that you might be sent to may not have the expertise to handle first responder trauma or veteran stuff with veterans. Some of them are really young. Some of them are 22 years old and right out of college and have never been married or had kids or been shot at. We went on kind of a mission of discussion to figure out, well, maybe we can find some culturally competent mental health clinicians and we can raise some money to remove the financial burden. And we started a nonprofit. And the nonprofit that we started was called Solano Family First Responders. We call it SUFFER. Easy to remember, but that being said, it was kind of a play on words, like Solano Family First Responders. And what we found is that by sharing our experiences and talking about it, it was no longer a painful thing without a purpose. Right? Because sometimes hurt people, right? But healed people want to heal people, right? So what we have done is Lauren's on our board. My wife is on our board. We formed a nonprofit that raises money. We not only talk about breaking the stigma of getting mental health counseling for first responders that experience trauma, but also their families. And we pay for up to 10 sessions a year for those people. So we've provided hundreds, if not, I think we're over 1,000 or 1,000 or 2,000 hours of counseling, probably more. I don't have the number. Jason's like our number guy. But what I will say is that's just one call. Right. And so when you think of that collectively over time, it's a lot to unpack, especially if you don't have help. You don't have an expert that can really, or a support system or somebody that can tolerate you until you get that help. So Solano Family First has been an incredible organization for us. We have great partners and we just want to continue to help people. We want to make sure that if we can encourage folks that to live, to get the help that they need, that they'll live better, have a better quality of life like I have. So I will tell you, my birthday is June 19th. This event happened December 8th, June 15th of 2008, excuse me. And it's still hard for me every year when that date comes around. But this year I decided to do something different. This year on Father's Day it was also June 15th this year. And I've always struggled around pools and water, you can imagine from that. Could never relax. This year I was baptized on June 15th, and I replaced one of the worst days of my life with one of the best days of my life. So I think the moral of my story is that help is there if you're willing to accept it. Not only are there incredible, people that are family members or friends or spouses or kids, there are great community organizations where this is something that is that they're very passionate about and wanting to help people. And that's what I want to do. I tell this story because I feel like it's one where I can honor the young girl. I can honor her father and her family. And I can also honor my family and support system and the people that have helped me. So I appreciate you taking time out of your day for me to tell my story. I would be happy to answer any questions that anyone has. Regardless of whether it's about this or other calls. I mean, like I said, this is just one. I have similar stories where I can talk about, and relate to different people that have experienced trauma in different ways. But I really do applaud you all for being here and for recognizing how important this is, because I don't know a single family that it hasn't been impacted by mental health. I don't, so. Any questions?
Not a question, just an observation of law enforcement, especially Solano County Sheriff Department, and the support they give to our son when he's traumatized because of his mental illness. He'll call 911, and since we live in the county, the Sheriff Department always responds, and they're really caring, really compassionate. Answers questions, don't accuse him of anything, they just want to know if he's okay.
And I think that's
really
absolutely,
appreciate that.
I'm so appreciative that you shared that. One of the things that I want to make sure that this group understands is that law enforcement response to mental health calls is absolutely changing. First respond, I just went to training last week where most agencies are not responding to mental health calls anymore at all. Unless you can articulate that a crime has happened, it doesn't always make sense to send the people with guns to different people's homes. We're not trained mental health clinicians. So we are exploring mobile crisis and working with professionals that can accompany us to provide that sort of care. I will tell you that it's a difficult thing for me, because if my family member needs help, I want somebody to be able to respond, but I also recognize that departments are being and individuals are being sued now for uses of force related to interventions with folks suffering from mental health. So I would just encourage you to pay attention to different state and federal laws surrounding that sort of thing, and to really support some of, or encourage clinicians that do mobile crisis to work alongside with police, so that way we can protect them. I mean, we've had to wrestle people and, assist family members with trying to restrain, their kids or their parents even at times. So I totally understand. I want to help, but I also recognize that we may not always be the best option to help too. So.
Can you talk about that? No, 911. Those who been along for a little bit now, but 988 is who we would call instead for mental health emergencies.
Thank you for that.
I've got the number of the mobile crisis. We have mobile crisis throughout the county, and every city has it. So
The problem is they're not always available.
yeah,
Right.
true.
And like, I'm just being brutally honest with everybody. That's a tough job to do. A lot of individuals that sign up for that are assaulted or injured. They're put in really dangerous situations. And so like, I'm open to suggestions. I don't claim to have all the answers as it's related to that. But what I will say is that those of you that are being proactive with either yourself or your family members, I think that's 100% where we should start. Go on. Yes, sir.
Yes, you also suggestions. In some areas, there are so-called empath units, emergency psychiatric assessment, treatment, and healing. It's basically an ER, but for folks who have psychotic break.
Do they have that in Solano County?
Nobody, well, that's why I'm typing up.
Okay.
So
Because I'm unaware of that. I mean, it sounds like something that could be a useful asset to have in a community with people. I mean, the issue with like mental health, like if you look at the jail, a significant portion of the people that are even in custody are suffering from some sort of mental illness. And so if you had something like that in lieu of incarcerating people, like if you want to talk about compassionate conservatism, conservative, like to conserve people, not conservative. But I think that's something like that is needed. I know that they have been talking about care court, but I don't know how effective that is being. That's kind of outside of my area, but I will tell you that arresting folks with mental illness is not always, it's rarely the answer, I would say.
It's also ineffective to send them to.
Right. I agree.
So that's a deterrent for anybody who has, for any family member.
Sure.
Who's been through that. The only way, so speaking from experience, the only way to get an influence here into the area is by exerting political pressure.
And it takes money.
Yeah, and there are some good things. I'll come over here and stand, really. Sure.
Thank you.
But and again, that's part of what NAMI wants from you is what do you want? Because we have the opportunity to work with all of the different organizations and we have a seat at the table. So we can work with county mental health. We can work with the Solano County Board of Supervisors who are responsible for the resources within the community. We can work with the law enforcement agencies, the hospital systems to bring forth, to use the NAMI name, right, as the grassroots organization that represents the people and outreach and support and education and advocacy. And we can help build those things. So I can share that Solano County Mental Health right now is looking to create a second CSU, a crisis stabilization unit. So we do have the current crisis stabilization unit, which the CSU model was theoretically was built before the empath, the concept of an empath model. But they're looking to create a second avenue. So right now, and I've been working in mental health emergency systems for 15 years. And right now in California, the primary way to get evaluated or to get help or to figure out what's going on is to go to the emergency department.
Yeah.
And even if you go to the CSU, which is supposed to take law enforcement drop-offs, which is supposed to be walk-in, it's insurance-based, so that carves out a specific group of people. And B, if they feel that you have any medical condition whatsoever, because they're not a hospital, they're going to mandate that you go to the emergency department. So you really can't, in the state of California, it's really hard to get around the emergency department.
And it gets weird, even if from the custody side, there's a lot of times we'll get a court order to release somebody to crisis. So like from jail directly to crisis, and then they say, well, they need medical clearance. I mean, it's like, it's gotta be frustrating, is all I'm saying.
They do.
Yeah.
They do need medical clearance. First step is to go to the ER. But the empath units or a crisis stabilization unit with an open door.
Yeah.
They're usually located next to the ER, next to urgent care, where you can get a medical clearance. It's done for 30 minutes. Off you go to the next unit next door.
And that's why I think that the community perspective is going to be so important. And if people are willing, right, we can invite information and we can bring people in to have those collaborative conversations with county mental health, with the board of supervisors that are making these decisions. Because if we can build the equivalent of an empath, because empath is actually, the name is owned by a company. But if we can build the equivalent of that, that's geographically logical, because right now Beck and North Bay Hospital, you know, they're close. I mean, just on Pennsylvania, you know, a couple of hours and down and back and whatever, but that's the route, right? If somebody goes to North Bay that needs to go, that's a county mental health patient, they go to the CSU. But guess what? Every mental health bed in the state of California is full at midnight every single night across the whole state. And that includes every CSU. So they are full and they can't take anybody. So there's nobody for law enforcement to drop off because they're on diversion almost every single day. So the only safe place for them to go right now is an emergency department. So one of the other things that NAMI is trying to do, NAMI Solano specifically, is to upgrade the concept of acute emergency mental health treatment within our emergency departments so that they can receive patients appropriately. And in ED talk, we can keep vertical patients vertical, right? They come in as voluntary through one door. We do what we need to do. And unless they need a specific higher level of care, we can help them, we can help stabilize, we can provide support, and then we can help them leave out the same door that they came in so that we're reducing stigma. They're not forced inappropriately into an involuntary, hold. And they're not sent, say, to Madeira or Santa Rosa or somewhere far away that is inconvenient for somebody to visit. It's very multifaceted, but I want you to know that NAMI Solano is at the core of those decisions and that those thought processes, and we appreciate, your input so that we can get those things done.
And to piggyback on that, like most of the first responders I know would never take advantage of any of that. Like, so like my discussion today is based upon like, there is a need, period. But even in those situations, it either has to be so bad that somebody called someone or somebody recognizes that they need help. When it comes to like, and it's not just cops and firefighters, it's dispatchers, it's ambulance, like people working in the ambulance, paramedics, it's correctional officers, it's ER doctors and nurses. Like we cover all of that because those folks won't even take advantage of that. The only way that you're going to get help to the folks that you usually call to help in those situations is to break down the stigmas and get them to go themselves. Because once they go, they get a hold placed on them, they are done. Like they can't do their job anymore. They know that, right? Which is why we lose more cops to suicide per year than we do to on-duty incidents.
What do you mean if they go there, they're done?
If you have a 5150 hold put on you for evaluation as a police officer, then it is very rare and extremely difficult for you to continue being because being a law enforcement. Go ahead.
So, a couple things that pop up to me. First is, first responders see more trauma within 30 days of regular work. They are exposed to more trauma than a normal person receives in their entire life. And their bodies are meant to do that. So in the United States, we typically see a rate of suicidality for normal people between 9 and 12%. Guess what the suicidality rate is for first responders?
40.
47%. 47. So almost 1 out of every 2 first responders have contemplated suicide at some point in their life. So we have this epidemic, and so it is true if an officer gets 5150, it takes an act of scope. It's this whole thing. But if they get extended beyond 5150, they will never be a call again. And so it has to be self-sustainable.
And which is why you need to work with clinicians that can recognize and balance that, right? And provide you with the help you need before.
And legislatively, there's a lot of things that can be done and that should be done to account for these. I'll share one piece of legislation that 99% of people have no idea about, but active duty military are protected from the LPS law within the state of California. Because if they are 5150'd, right, if their constitutional rights are taken away, they risk losing their ability to handle or possess firearm, ammunition, blah, blah, blah. Same thing with law enforcement, right? So that's the big reason, right? So in the state of California, an active duty member in the military cannot be legally placed on a 5150. Now it happens all the time because people don't know and you can fight it, but it's a protective order that protects their jobs, right? So potentially the same thing should be created, right, from a legislative perspective to protect law enforcement and first responders to reduce the stigma and enable them to choose to get help. That says, for example, for military, the only person legally in California that can do it is a military physician that understands the repercussions, culturally, right? It's culturally competent. So things like that are things that we should be fighting for to provide those protections to reduce the 47%, to encourage people to get help, to be able to have walk-in clinics, to be able to have all of these things that reduces the overall stigma.
Talk about your CIT training a little bit and where we're trying to go with that.
Yeah, so to add to that, and this is a kind of a great segue, and I'll invite you unofficially,
Okay.
but
Is that my cue to sit?
no, you can stay, you can
All
stay.
right.
But I'm just putting you on the spot, right? So I'm unofficially inviting you to participate.
I would be happy if it's gonna help heal people, that's what I'm with.
Yeah, so NAMI Solano, we were just, we haven't accepted yet, right? So I don't want to, it's a dream perspective, right? But we were just awarded the opportunity to have a $25,000 grant from NAMI California to focus on crisis intervention training for Solano County. So crisis intervention training is exactly what Roy is talking about when you combine the expertise of a clinician with the legal authority and the safety and the expertise of law enforcement, and there's co-response to an incident, right? That is the ideal model.
I agree. Not everybody agrees with that, but I agree with you.
And
I think you need to have an officer ready to protect a clinician.
right,
Because I've been assaulted more times than I can tell you. I've been shot at 3 times. None of that stuff scares me as much as dealing with the calls with the kids and stuff like that. But I have seen the clinicians come out and nobody's gonna fight a 6'4" naked guy, you know.
and
like,
right, and
it's not.
there's extremes on both sides when it comes to CIT. CIT itself is a very closed, it's an ideal model, right? When the majority of when people disagree is when it's not the full model. And they say, okay, well, law enforcement's going to go out and deal with this mental health situation. And unfortunately, what we see is escalations, and we see danger, and we see people getting injured, and we see law enforcement being perpetrated as the aggressor, right? That's one extreme. On the other extreme, we see, well, we'll just send social workers, and then you have social workers responding to potential criminal activity or a situation that it's just not safe, right? So CIT is the combination of the best of both worlds when it's actually done correctly, and it's far beyond just the acute response. CIT itself involves the law enforcement recovery, right? It involves, 988 dispatch working. It involves having the crisis intervention teams, right? The mobile crisis teams with another social work team, with law enforcement, all collectively working effectively together. So that's what we don't have that currently in Solano County. We have a very piecemealed approach. So hopefully we will be able to use this money as a demonstration project to be able to say, what if we can do it? What if it's self-sustainable? What if it doesn't cost an agency money? What if it saves you money? What if it saves lives? What if it saves people? What if it, protects the souls of our officers and of our, constituents? What if all these things work out great? Why wouldn't we want to do it? And part of it is having a place to go. Where do we go? What's the decision tree look like? All those things take time, right? So we have been awarded the opportunity to consider taking a $25,000 chunk from NAMI California and using that for this purpose. So I feel kind of strange, but with your support, right? This is something that your NAMI Solano wants to take on. I actually went and became a certified CIT program coordinator for the CIT International in order to be able to understand the system and understand how it works. But I could promise you that if Roy is an officer and myself as a clinician, we're teamed together to be able to respond and to be able to triage and decide, hey, you got the lead on this one, right? Because of the scenario, or say, hey, give me, I'll give you the bat signal, right? Give me a couple of minutes to see if we can de-escalate this. And oh, by the way, the officers that are there right now that are holding the scene, call them and let them know we're 2 minutes out, and they can start prep that conversation so that when we walk in, they can go back to work.
Yeah.
They can go back on the street. And this would be our full-time job, right? This would be our role in the department, would be to offer these services. Oh, and then by the way, we got to figure out mechanisms for all of the officers to be able to have that rapid support for what they just experienced, right? So all those things wrapped together are part of it. And so that's another reason why it's important for us to leverage our community resources, like councilman / officer / Roy Stockton, to be able to say, look, these are the people we have in our community, and we can build the change that we want to see.
As a council member,
Yeah.
you can probably impact.
So we have, Vacaville is, I think, the only Solano County agency that has a family resource center that provides counseling. It is not all mental health based. It's more counseling based for just different issues that any family member could have, and then support systems surrounding that, but not all of the cities do. So I think what I will say is Vacaville is a great community to live in, because I think that they are on the forefront of really progressive policing models. The other thing that Vacaville is doing that I think is really helpful is we have a new real-time information center. Is everybody familiar with that? I know that like kind of some people aren't really big on, cameras following them around and watching them, but we have camera systems and drones now that can do initial responses to where we don't have to send officers right away. So we can assess the scenes better, gather information real time before they get there, right? Because if somebody's distraught and upset and they're holding a knife and we've got a drone over them and they're by themselves, like we probably don't need to roll in, lights and sirens and real aggressive, right? Like we may be able to just contain that scene and different things. The other thing that I will say with your CIT is it's not just the officers, but the dispatchers.
Yep.
The dispatchers knowing what questions, we have some, like Lauren is one of the best dispatchers ever, but there are some very talented men and women that do that job. And they are constantly having to learn and adapt some of these new ideas, right? And so for them to be able to request or solicit information that might be able to provide us with information when that CIT is needed too. So I could see that all being a really good, but it would take there's a lot of logistics.
Yeah. But the good thing is there is a secret sauce. There is a recipe that people all over the country and all over the world are using. We have the opportunity to try to implement that here locally.
Well, if you want to do it in Vacaville, you let me know. I know a guy.
Okay. Sounds good. Go ahead.
I have 2 questions. What do you recommend, and how well do you think agencies in this area are working to reduce the stigma among the law enforcement officers and encouraging them to reach out to get help?
So I got to be careful how I answer this one. So what I will say is the agencies that are doing the best are actually contracting with culturally competent mental health clinicians. They are working with restoration. They're working with the Dancy group. They're working with E5 therapy. They're working with the people who share that same passion of really wanting to like pinpoint focus on the employees, the needs. A 22-year-old college grad can't help. I would be remiss to think that they could with the lack of life experience. I mean, they've never seen death. They've never been shot at. They've never been in fights for their life. So what I will say that Vacaville is doing a phenomenal job. And it's a passion project for me to make sure that they continue to do that and to provide the people who are going to make sure our first responders are at their best, not only when they come and help you and your family, but when they get home to theirs. Right, because that's important too. So, and there are other agencies, but not all of them are, which is why the organization that I'm a part of with them exists, because not all of the agencies in Solano County will pay to have us sent to a clinician, and none of them will send their families. Right, I think so. Could you imagine being a child and your father was in it, or mother or father was in a active, like in a shooting? Like, it's not just the.
8 times higher for depression and anxiety. 100,000.
But our organization will cover the kids. If, there are marital problems related to the work, we'll send them the marriage.
You're saying that law enforcement and first responders have divorce issues?
Hey, you know what? This year was 20 years with my beautiful bride, so I'm very blessed.
Roy, could we get the information on your organization so that we can
Yes.
upload it with this?
I have some flyers in the back. Like I said, it's Solano Family First Responders. There's an email on there. What I will tell you, if you have friends, family members, people that fall within our criteria, you can find that on our website, whether they do. They can go directly to a clinician that they trust. And then what we do is we work through the clinician. I've had experiences at work where I'm going to be careful how I say this. I had an employee that started crying. I didn't know why they were crying. Doesn't happen all the time at work. And they said, "You don't know?" And I said, "I have no idea what's going on right now. Why are you crying?" And they ended up telling me, "Are you kidding me? You don't know?" I said, "I don't know." They go, "Well, when I lost my spouse, I went to one of your recommended clinicians, and they provided counseling for their child and themselves. And I had no idea." And I said, "That's wonderful." And they told me that their child is now enrolled in a college to become a mental health clinician.
Wow.
So healed people heal people.
Absolutely. So I wanted to, because we do have an online presence, I wanted to offer really quick for anybody online to ask any questions. If you turn your sound off, we should be able to hear you in the room.
Hey, Roy, this is Deb DeMello. I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your personal story, your personal journey. And bravo for getting the kind of support for EAP for those that are first responders. I have been a champion of that kind of support for our NAMI employees and the people who work in our NAMI affiliate for the very same, a lot of the similar kinds of need that we're dealing with, a lot of challenging things day to day. And I really value what you've done. I believe that what you're suggesting is actually great that you have it for Vacaville. I actually think there's a lot that we need to level up for our entire county. And obviously with some of the initiatives that John shared that we're doing in Vallejo, I would welcome your participation as well as other first responders that really are having a heart for making this better for our community as a whole. And we want to partner with as many of the different agencies, whether it be the sheriff's department or the different police departments, the EDs, the various organizations that meet the needs where we are living in this challenging time that we are in. We really want to partner with as many as we can. What John didn't mention too is that we are part of a gun violence support. So as we have embarked on a lot of different pieces of this puzzle, whether it be the diversion courts and trying to support through case management those that are going through diversion, or trying to help those that are victims of gun violence and their families, we really are trying to level up our community and do better. And I appreciate your unique role being both on the city council as well as a police officer, a sheriff, a deputy. I think we have the opportunity to gather some really strong partners in making this better. So thank you for taking the time to be with us tonight.
I'm honored to be here, and I'm happy to work with you and continue to foster that relationship. I think most of our police and fire first responder unions would also be on board. We all recognize that this is it's going to take everybody to come up with a good solution on how we can properly address this and safely do it.
Yeah. So round of applause for Roy. Thank you. So we're not going to let him run away. So I'm sure he's willing to stick around and talk afterwards. But we have some administrative items that we need to manage. For those that don't know, we just completed our second NAMI walk that NAMI Solano did by ourselves. We had a great turnout. We did it in Vallejo. Last year we did it at Lagoon Valley Park, beautiful, but very windy and not necessarily cost effective. So this year we're learning every time. So this year we did it downtown Vallejo because we had some things that we wanted to highlight there. We actually brought in one of the world's leading experts on clozapine and had him do a medically certified talk to physicians and nurses and just the general public. So we had a good hour long, we had a comedy show and an hour long movie and a Q&A, and that went really, really well for folks that were there. One thing that we didn't get to do because we were having such a great time was our raffle. We had a raffle planned as part of that event. So what we decided to do was we decided to live stream the raffle that is part of our NAMI walk. So we're going to do that tonight. So so it's being live streamed and recorded for everybody that's live. This is our opportunity here to get this done, right? No. So here, so that everybody in the world can see what we're going to do. We had and we're going to do, you know how a lot of people, they build up to their high ticket item, they do the small stuff and everybody's like, oh, what about that last thing? What about that last thing? Well, because the way the system works, if you win something, your name gets pulled out of the pot, right? And then you don't get to get a chance at the big one. So we're going to mix it up and we're going to do our high ticket item first so that everybody gets a chance to win. Our primary sponsor for this event was Gateway Pharmacy here in Fairfield. They were a huge sponsor of our event. And then they surprised us on the day of the event by offering, Iman, what is that? What is that? Number one? Oh, here, why don't they just do this?
Why don't you just do that?
Yeah. So they actually showed up the day of the event with an Apple iPad for us to raffle off. So we're going to make that our first. We're going to make that our first item. And all of these items, if they're not here tonight, or if you're not here tonight, right? Hopefully everybody in this room wins something. But there's a lot of people on the list. So for the recording, what we're going to say is that if you are not here and you're not present to win, you don't have to be. All of these items will go to our office in Fairfield, and you can pick up your items at the office in Fairfield during regular business hours. So our first,
But there's not always somebody at the office, so we'll have.
oh,
to arrange that.
if you win, get a hold of us.
Yeah, that's.
Get a, yeah, or we'll get a hold of you. We'll take down your name and we'll use your contact information to let you know, because they're not all watching this video.
That's right.
So exactly, we're figuring out as we go. So Iman's gonna spin our wheel of winners and we'll determine which one gets the Gateway Pharmacy Apple iPad. So this is
Good luck, everybody.
good luck. I love the picker wheel. This is how we do devotionals for work. Veronica Pacheco, you are the winner of an Apple iPad. Veronica Pacheco. Right? So we will get a hold of that person, right?
Iman,
And
can you
next-
share your screen when you're doing the spinning too, by chance?
It's sharing. It's on the main.
Are you not seeing it, Deb?
No, it's not sharing in Zoom.
I think it is.
Is it? Okay,
It's the primary screen.
okay,
You're not seeing it?
you're good.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
So next is a basket of fun, where is that? What does it entail? Basket of fun. Go ahead and spin and we'll bring this. Go ahead and spin the picker wheel.
Pins and
Some games and
Tins.
coloring and cool.
no.
Go ahead and spin the wheel. So thanks for being here. I wish we had some side music.
Yeah.
Right, it's something. It's something. We're great. Yeah, Antoine, there you go. Present and accounted for. Okay. So the next one is a basket of comforts. Sounds like a spa package. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Here we go. And it is Guillermo Herrera. Guillermo Herrera.
Guillermo,
Yep.
okay.
Yay, Mom's writing it all down. Okay. See, and this is what you get. This is how you know we're really a grassroots organization. You know, it's not like we're a volunteer board. And it's evident. So next, go ahead and spin for our basket of chocolates. Is that somewhere? Is it ready? Oh, here it is.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right.
Donated Heavenly Treats and Gifts by Patricia. So again, thank you.
This chocolate.
If I win, I'll open it tonight and share it with everybody. I win. Blaine Laney.
Oh, awesome. We'll take it. We're having lunch with her tomorrow.
Wonderful. There you go.
You're
Talk about customer service. Your gifts come to you at lunch.
yeah.
From NAMI board members. My gosh. Okay. So we also have some art. Is it at the office?
I think it's still at the church, but we'll send the link and whoever wins can pick out which one.
Okay. So the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're going to kind of rapid fire. We have peer created art that's in our it's in our soon to be maybe clubhouse in Vallejo that we're working on. So we're going to go
Or it's in our office. It could be in our office as well.
Yeah, it will be in our office eventually, but it's not here tonight. So you don't get
Right.
to see it, but we're going to go through the names. So we've got 5 to go through. Oh, everybody knows this song. This is your favorite finger wheel song for tonight. And the first person that gets their first choice is Anne. Starts with a Z. Zylstra. Zylstra. Next. The next winner. Option of art number 2. Suzanne Roston. Hey! See what happens when you show up? There you go. So you get to be picker number 2. Of art. Amazing. Arturo Ramos is number 3, the winner. Very good. Jerry Hoffman. Anybody know Jerry Hoffman? Well, you do now. He's the winner of art number 4. That's one. Marlene Stan Gibbs. Heard lots of great things about Marlene.
All right.
She loves art. She's a great curator of peer created art. Okay, so our next one is a $10 gift card from One House Bakery. Is that here tonight or is that in the office? Okay, so we have 3 gift cards to go tonight. First one is from One House Bakery, the lovely place in Benicia, if you've never been there.
It is.
It's a great place. We try to do a lot of our out of office meetings there because it's beautiful. Plus, you're gonna have a chocolate almond croissant and coffee. So let's go. Oh, nice. So $10, One House Bakery. The winner is Nairobi, Kenya. Sounds like a place. But hey, beautiful. Right, and we have 2 more gift cards. 2 Starbucks gift cards that are available at the office in Fairfield, at the NAMI office. The good thing here is if you win something, come and visit staff, you run the office, if you ever need support services, you come to the office. Patricia Taggart. Yeah. And the last person who loves coffee. Jorge or George Saavedra. Hey! So this closes out, right, the event from our NAMI walk. And we apologize that we weren't able to do this beautiful, wonderful raffle there, but logistics just didn't make it happen within our couple of different locations. So,
Just really quick, we do have this link, if anybody has pictures, videos from the walk, people have been uploading, so I have a bunch to upload too, but if you have anything or you wanna see the event, we have this link that I'll post up again and put in the newsletter.
and if you're not on our newsletter distribution list, please, Aman, can they come and see you? Because I don't think we have we have a sign up sheet at the table, right? So sign up on the sign up sheet at the table. Make sure you're on our information list. You'll be made aware of all of our general meetings. We are trying to move them around. This is a very wonderful location, and we always want to thank Valley Church for making this possible. The tech is great. The area is great. The people are wonderful. But we also want to make sure that we make it easy for people throughout the entire county. So if you have a great space that you're willing to donate or know somebody that does, get with our staff and team, and that would help us kind of prioritize and figure out where we want to go. Go ahead, Patty.
One that's been doing the general meetings, and I would love to have a partner. Anybody wants to partner with me, let me know and we'll figure it out. Next month, we are at the Fairfield Library on Kentucky Street at 6:30. And we're going to do sort of the state of the affiliate to let you know kind of where we stand, what we need, what's coming up.
Yeah, there's a lot of instability and a lot of things, because we are a grassroots organization and we kind of rely on the kindness of strangers. We would love to think that local governmental agencies, that we are their priority and that they're willing to just shovel us a bunch of money so that we can help with these things. We're getting further and further away from that being the reality. So we want to let you know the kind of services that we're offering. And we also want to let you know where we stand and where we see your NAMI Solano organization going over the next 3 to 5 years and get your feedback to help us drive our strategic plan. So we're we try to be as transparent as possible, and so we'll do that at the next meeting. We have a couple of minutes left on our time, literally a couple of minutes. So Deb, was there anything that you wanted to close out or anything you wanted to say? You don't have to.
No, thank you, John. I appreciate it. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. I would encourage you to look at our postings that we have on our Facebook as well as on our website. We have, as John just mentioned, the county is trying to make some decisions about where they allocate their funds for the Behavioral Health Services Act funding. And they are having town halls the first week in November, which is next week. There was one in each community, and there are 2 of them on Zoom. So whether you can get to the physical location, I believe on the 4th of November is the one at the JFK Library in Vallejo, but there are different ones listed on the flyer that we have on our website. Please take a moment and come out or sign up and get onto the Zoom and share why NAMI is important and why funding NAMI's programs makes it possible for us to reach our community in ways that other organizations or the county itself cannot do. So just encourage you to give a shout out and a support for NAMI and other organizations that you care to see being supported.
So the board members are going to stick around if you have anything. If you want to just grab some snacks, there's also coffee in the back if you want a coffee to go. With that said, I think we could probably close our general meeting tonight. And I just thank everybody for being here. And I wish you well physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And I hope everybody has a great month. And we look forward to seeing you next month. Thank you.